Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Budget Monday for the FY22 County Executive Recommended Operating Budget. We wanted to introduce everybody and make sure that you are ready to go for this briefing. I'm not going to take a whole lot of time in terms of discussion. I'm going to hand it over to County Executive as well as our CAO, and they can go ahead and get us started this morning. So good morning, everybody, and we'll go ahead and proceed.
So good morning, everyone. It's certainly been an interesting year, a lot different place than where we were a year ago when no sooner does the budget come over, but the budget seems to arrive simultaneously with COVID. And we wind up making very different decisions than we were prepared to make when we created the budget. 1 year ago, the crisis hit and the shutdowns began. None of us imagined that we'd lose 1,400 of our family, friends, neighbors, and coworkers. And I think about how we were scrambling to understand what was happening and what needed to be done. I remember the first advice on COVID was that you should isolate people who traveled to foreign countries, and that would get it done. And that proved to be not right. And I think of the changing advice over the course of the year, the mask or no mask, physical distancing or not physical distancing, how does the virus travel, all those things which people did not really know a lot about when we first started dealing with this. And I remember in May and June, we were talking about where we were going to open for the 4th of July and where our number is going to be good enough. And we had begun a downward trajectory after the initial spike, and that trajectory flattened. And then, as we know, we've had 2 more spikes or surges since then. So July 4th opening didn't happen, and it certainly altered the way we do business in the county. But we made a couple of key decisions in the beginning. We decided we were going to spend money and use our reserves to do what was needed. I gave directions to my staff that we were to acquire enough PPE to get us through not just the first wave, but to get us through a second and a third wave. I wanted to make sure that we weren't, like everybody else in the country, left not having supplies on hand, knowing that this would very likely come back, which it did. And so we went out and started buying supplies. We wound up helping hospitals and nonprofits with supplies they were having a hard time finding. We were selling PPE to, private sector companies that were having a hard time finding it. So we did a number of things to try to make sure that we were prepared and we could help other people who were in the same situation as we were. We made decisions to impose physical distancing restrictions. We shut down offices and ride-on. We made a major pivot in telecommuting, which is going to be one of the long-lasting, I think, legacies of COVID, is that when we started, I think Montgomery County had what we thought was one of the most progressive teleworking policies, which no one was ever able to use. And so we were able to change that, and within a short few weeks, actually implement very wide teleworking in the county government. And that was really important. It enabled us to keep more things going than otherwise we could have kept going. I think about what would have happened 10 years ago when that wouldn't have been possible and what the consequences would have been. So we were able to manage that, and you're going to see more teleworking as we go forward. We were able to use our resources to help a lot of people in the community. We'll talk more about that. But it was a very, very long year. And I think, we learned a lot. I think one of the things we learned most important was that our reach wasn't as deep into communities as we thought it was. And that in the case of emergency, people wouldn't automatically or easily find information. So we had to move ultimately to a system of hubs which enabled us to get the information and messaging deeper into the community. And I think that's another legacy that'll come out of COVID, is that the movement more toward hubs in the county. I think all these things made a difference in how we move forward in the county. I am really, really happy with where we got to in terms of the cases and the impact in the community. It is not, it's not good, but on the other hand, it's not what it could have been. And I remember early on looking at the numbers in New York and other places, and working with our health people to make sure we did not follow that trajectory. We did not want people being taken out of apartment buildings and morgues and in trucks and all the other horror scenes I think we saw. So we were determined that that was not going to be Montgomery County's fate, and we largely were able to avoid the worst of this. I want to thank, a few groups of people. One is the state delegation for the work they continued to do, and frankly, the governor for the support that they provided early on that was really helpful in managing this. I want to thank the council for working with us. We all were working in uncharted territory. We were making decisions not knowing whether we were making decisions for a month, 2 months, 3 months. I don't think any of us would have thought in the beginning that the decisions we made would be decisions that would carry on now for more than a year and likely to have a life of another couple of months. And I really want to thank our congressional delegation. They really delivered the relief. They were able to get packages out during the year, and this last package has just been absolutely critical. And I think county executives all around this state and all around this country, and mayors of the large cities are really thankful for the action taken by Congress, because it helps us deal with the damage done by COVID. It lets us have more normal budgets. It means that government doesn't have to cease doing what it was doing and what the people need us to do. So I just am really grateful to Senator Cardin, Senator Van Hollen, Representatives Raskin, Sarbanes, and Trone. They all did an amazing job. They listened to us, they talked to us, and they delivered for us. And I just want to thank them, let them know how much I appreciate what they did. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to move through the budget. I want to say that I want to thank the staff from the Office of Management and Budget and Finance for all of their work in putting this together. So I'm going to the next slide, and that's the challenges that we faced. And so obviously the challenges that this budget faces is, COVID as it was and COVID as it is, the state of emergency and all the things that have come along with the state of emergency, the loss of 1,400 lives, and the fact that 65,000 county residents contracted COVID, and many of these still are experiencing some of the long-term effects of that, and the dire physical projections. We were looking at extremely negative physical projections early on, and fortunately they did not pan out to be true. Go to the next one. So there are three main themes here that we're going to be talking about in the operating budget, and it's response, recovery, and resilience. So our response, we put an immediate hiring and procurement freeze on the county. We were one of the first jurisdictions, if not the first jurisdiction in Maryland, to do that. And we locked our spending down as tight as we could get it. We invested $50 million in PPE and cleaning supplies. We understood early on we had to get this equipment. I remember, and I know some of you got involved in this as well, the search for PPE. Who had masks? Who had sanitizer? Where would we get these supplies? We were even trying to find testing originally. Early on, we were out trying to find testing. We administered 1.4 million tests, and we provided $13 million to prepare hospitals, help the hospitals, and to buy ventilators. And I remember the search for ventilators and all the work my staff did. I especially want to thank Ash for his engagement on all of this. Next slide. Next slide. Hello. Other way. Our response continued. We put $150 million between what we've already spent and what we will be spending into rental relief and income supports. And again, major money from the federal government, some assistance from the state, and our own funds have made this possible. And we know we're going to continue to need to provide support as we go on. And we know that unless the ban on evictions is renewed, those will be expiring shortly. And we may well have a social problem in our hand that we're going to have to handle. We provided 17 million meals prepared and delivered by MCPS and our community partners. I've seen, a lot of you out at the food drives that were going on across the county. It was so good to see the community partners working with us, and 17 million meals is just a phenomenal number. And I'm just really grateful for everybody's work on that. We distributed 8.2 million pounds of food with our nonprofit partners. We worked with 8 service hubs that ultimately got created throughout the county. We've provided $70 million to businesses and nonprofits. And we announced the start of business relief on March 20th, 2020. So we've been at that for almost a year. There's good news in the federal government, and I'm looking forward to the programs that they'll be bringing us. In terms of recovery, we've put 220,000 doses into residents' arms with at least one dose. We've vaccinated at least 25% of the adult population with one shot. More than 60% of the 65 plus residents have gotten one shot already. We've got the American Rescue Plan. Half the money comes in now, the rest of it later in the year. That's $203 million. This budget leaves $82 million of that fund unallocated so that we can make decisions about where best to place this as we move through the year. We haven't received it yet, but we will be receiving $400 million in additional federal funds for MCPS and Montgomery College. And those funds are unprogrammed, and remind people that their budgets are met. Their submissions are fully covered by the budget. And so they've got $400 million that's unprogrammed right now. And we're still looking at what looks like it's going to be a K-shaped recovery. People are predicting that this economy actually is going to recover more quickly, but the K-shape kind of is indicative of the bottom leg of the K, of the angular part of the K, indicates that there's a part of the economy that's not recovering, will not recover at the same pace as the rest of the economy does. But much of the economy is recovered. You see that in our income taxes. It has been healthier, I think, than people predicted, but there are still large swaths of the community in the county that are hit by this, and sectors of the business community that have been particularly hard hit. Next slide. Some of the highlights of the 22 budget. We fully fund MCPS and Montgomery College budget requests. We have money in there to continue to support families and vulnerable residents. We're furthering our commitment to funding early childhood and education. You'll see additional funding for that. We're providing record levels of funding for affordable housing, and we're beginning the work of reimagining public safety by beginning to restructure police and enhancing mental health services and crisis responses. I want to say that, I've said from the beginning that we have a lot of work to do in terms of replacing or providing support for people who have traditionally been left to the police to deal with. And regardless of whether or not that comes out of savings from the police department, and there are savings in the police department, we still have a responsibility to address those other needs. It can't be that unless we take money out of the police, then these needs, which we know are out there, are going to remain unaddressed. So this budget begins to address these additional needs, as well as shifting some funding from the police department to address the same needs. Next slide. This budget has been viewed for the first time really through an equity lens. It is really good to sit in meetings with department heads and hear them talking about how they looked at things and equity considerations when they were putting this budget together. We make strides in addressing climate change and promoting mass transit. I'm especially thrilled at the schools. I put together a meeting with David Fraser Hidalgo and introduced the schools to the idea of the kind of leasing that they eventually put out for bid. And it is going to be a model that we're going to look to follow for replacing the county buses, but also the county fleet in general, whether it's police cars and other vehicles. There are tax credits which a government can never use. And we're going to look to build deals where we benefit from the fact that the private sector can take the tax credits, the depreciation, all the things that are useless to us, and bake that into the deals we make in terms of leasing equipment. We are and will continue to set up businesses for a sustained economic recovery. We've had two task force, one looking at the short term and one looking at the long term of economic recovery. This budget takes county reserves up to 9.6%. I know a lot of us were quite uncertain if we'd get anywhere close to this number, but this budget will have us at 9.6% of reserves, and there will be no new taxes, and OPEB is fully funded. Next. Full funding for education. For the Board of Education's $2.8 billion request, funded. Montgomery College's $312.5 million request is funded. We're expanding the Montgomery Can Code program and the Innovation Hub, and we have support for the kids' museums and their efforts for hands-on STEM learning. And we have a great relationship with the school system on this. I think all of us understand how beneficial this program is, along with the Montgomery Can Code program. These are two really important initiatives that I think we're going to benefit for years to come from. Tackling climate change, we were able to add additional staff this year for climate change programs in the Department of Environmental Protection, for energy policy management, vehicle electrification, and community outreach. Our buildings are being benchmarked. We will bring on somebody who can work with the private sector as they have to, engage on energy policy management on their own. We're going to have somebody working on vehicle electrification, both for the county fleets, but also to provide assistance again to the private sector and also to individuals to try to find ways to get more vehicles electrified. And we're going to provide resources for community outreach, because at the end of the day, we need the residents of Montgomery County to be clear about why this is so critically important and what role they have to play. This is not something, and the goals cannot be achieved by government action alone. The automobile is probably the greatest example of that. We can, tell people they should buy electric. We can have government programs that give tax credits for electric, but until somebody decides to actually swap the gas vehicle for an electric vehicle, it doesn't happen. So community outreach is important. Getting people to put solar on their roofs happens because neighbor tells neighbor about how this has worked out for them. So we're going to have resources for that. We have enhancements to the Tree Montgomery program, the Rainscapes program, and the watershed grants. We have funds now to study revisions to the Ride-On Transit Network. As we start developing bus rapid transit, the Ride-On network is going to change. to serve the bus rapid transit network. So as lines start to be built and come online, you need to be prepared to shift the ride-on network. I know in other jurisdictions around the country that have adopted bus rapid transit, it's led to savings in their normal expenses for the regular bus system, and we expect to accomplish the same thing here. And this budget includes funds for the Brookfield Bus Depot, the electrification project, which includes a microgrid along with 2 portable solar-powered electric vehicle charging stations. Next slide. Looking to improve economic development, working with our Economic Development Corporation, we're going to be focusing on entrepreneurship development. There's an Entrepreneurs in Residence Fellowship program. We're working on the proposed White Flint Research and Innovation Center project. This is very exciting because there are private sector developers already interested in this. We have attracted interest from universities who are talking to us about this. We are trying to position this both in terms of life sciences and computing, both to be a hub of research and innovation, to provide home for people to work in these fields and to attract more businesses in this area to Montgomery County. If you talk to people in the life sciences sector, I think everybody will agree we're probably number 3 or 4 in the country, number 1 in vaccines, but we don't punch at our weight. We're not attracting the investment that other places get, and we're largely unknown in the sense that nobody thinks of the Shady Grove Life Sciences Center when they talk about, Kendall Square and the Raleigh Triangle. Shady Grove Life Sciences is not in that same breath. And we aim to make sure that people get a recognition for what's happening in this county and where we're going to go. We have great opportunities, and I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about our partnership with WMATA for development of the WMATA site. And like I said, I've already talked to a number of developers in the White Flint area and also in Twin Brook that are looking to bring forward developments and renovations of existing properties with an eye on biomedical life sciences work. We have an inclusive economy initiative, and we're working to develop the pipeline and workforce development partnership. We have new leadership in workforce development that I'm very excited about that and the direction that they're going to be going. I know that a lot of us on the council for years were concerned about who got served and who didn't get served. We think we're on the right steps, taking the right steps to move in the direction that all of us have wanted to be in. We are going to get there, and this is, I think, going to become a nice, shining example of what we can do. I've seen what other jurisdictions can do with workforce development. There's no reason why we can't do that here. Next. We've got $1 million fund to increase Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation funding, and we're providing a little over $800,000 to the Conference Center and Visitors Bureau to offset projected hotel motel tax shortfalls that they depend on to operate. Next. We have additional resources and personnel for the Office of Racial Equity and Social Justice. We have funds for a mobile health clinic to address health disparities in this community. You will see the creation of a multilingual, multicultural communications unit. We have significant funding for additional positions of fully bilingual personnel who can translate, who can write, so that we're not so dependent on contractors or machine translation, that we're able to do a much better job in all departments. And it's less of a stretch for us to do this kind of work and be able to communicate more effectively than we've been able to do. And we have funds to close the digital divide. I know some of you know that we've extended internet for free to this, wonderful apartment project that's across the street from the county executive office building over here. We are working at bringing internet into apartments for residents that can't afford it. We have been working at supplying internet to apartment buildings. We're continuing to target the most vulnerable communities in Montgomery County. and to take action to erase the digital divide. And I'm really looking forward to moving down that road. Next. We have record funding for affordable housing. We've got $61.1 million in the MHI fund. We have $22 million for affordable housing acquisition and preservation CIP projects. We have $6 million for new affordable housing opportunity fund. And we're having discussions. I meet every couple of weeks with the affordable housing providers about moving toward more ownership in housing. This, to me, is one of the most important things that we need to do. If our projects continue to be only rental housing, then we basically preclude these communities from being able to build wealth. And we know that one of the big gulf between wealth in the white community and wealth in minority communities has been the home ownership issue. And, it goes back to what happened after World War II and the GI Bill and who wound up getting houses and who wound up getting apartment projects. We need to start moving to the point that as we look at projects, we start thinking about how do we turn them into ownership. It may mean that nonprofits hold them for a number of years and work toward ownership, but we need to start building the same opportunities for everybody in this county that some of our residents have today. And so we're going to work to continue pushing on the ownership frontier. Next. We're increasing support for Working Families Income Supplement Program by $20 million. It includes $5 million for residents with the taxpayer identification number. I'm really glad that we're able to do this. This is a really important step forward for people, and it goes to addressing, people who get left out and have been historically left out from these programs. And hopefully the Biden administration will be addressing this. I talked to Senator Cardin about this, and I said, the two biggest things you could do would be to include everybody in America in the Affordable Care Act, and to let anybody who's working, if they lose their job, be able to collect unemployment. I think all of us know in this community how devastating it was for the people who didn't get the unemployment checks, because no income and no unemployment check, even when the checks were meager, is just devastating. And as a side note, I want to, point out something. I didn't realize how low an unemployment check was in the state of Maryland, but the maximum unemployment check when this started was around $434, and our Montgomery County's average was under $400 a week as an unemployment check. 4 of those, and you'd be lucky if every penny went to pay rent. So you get a sense of what the additional funds from the federal government meant to people who were on unemployment. And I just think about the folks who got nothing at all, and it's really heartbreaking. And I think all of us know the consequences that these people have had to go through. We enhanced funding for hubs. We're adding $3.6 million. We are going to ask for some patience on developing the model. We're talking to people who are running the hubs, both the nonprofits and the county staff, to determine how we want the hubs to operate in a post-pandemic world. We're gonna carry us through this year, and then we intend to continue the hubs next year. I think what the hubs taught us is that they are a very effective way of getting a deeper reach into the community, and we should continue to work with this structure. Put a little bit of our HHS people out into the community, make them more available, make it possible for people to go into hubs and connect remotely into the offices in HHS. There's a lot of stuff that we can do, and I really, thought that the hubs taught us some valuable lessons about communications and outreach. We're expanding the rapid rehousing and rental assistance program, and we've also purchased a building for the homeless right now. It will be able to house up to 200 people. My goal over the next year or two is to get enough space so that we can end Montgomery County's policy of having people sleep outside 8 months a year. In a county like ours, with the wealth that we have, it's just not acceptable that the normal policy forever has been that, until it gets cold, you're outdoors. We need to fix that. This building gets us our first deposit on that. We're going to buy the building, renovate it, and then we'll be looking for another building. I hope eventually that we get enough that we can actually turn these into single room occupancy. That's a step down the road, but we need to get people off the street. I had a great conversation, for example, with the Capital Food Bank, and one of the things they said is if we have these many people in a building, they could help us feed them. And I can just think what a game changer that would be for people if they did not have to go out on the streets and try to panhandle for money and panhandle for food. If we could actually make sure people got fed, and if we had the resources there to have people who can actually work with folks and help them get their lives, back in order. You think about so many of these people are only there because they had a car repair they couldn't afford, and they couldn't make a rent payment because they didn't have enough unemployment insurance. They had lost a job. We need to do better, and we intend to do better, and I'm really happy that we're on that track. We're adding $5 million more for early child care and education initiative. Total funds available in FY22 will climb to $12.5 million. We made a deposit on this over the last couple of years. It's really important that we expand access to early care and education, and this budget keeps in line with our efforts to further expand that. Next slide. Reimagining public safety. We eliminate 29 positions in the police department. We create 3 new mobile crisis outreach teams. That's on top of the 3 that we're standing up now. So we'll have 6 mobile crisis outreach teams. The mobile crisis people will also be available in schools if needed, so we can take steps in that direction. We will be looking, even as we send this budget over, for ways to add more social workers that we can provide to the school system. This is one place I think it's really important that we try to find more money. We've got a grant out there that would help provide these positions. We'd like to get a social worker into every high school, and hopefully we will have identified some resources to move forward on this sooner than later. And we're establishing a homelessness court. Part of our effort to decriminalize homelessness and decriminalize poverty is to have a homelessness court, just like we have a court for mental health and we have a court for drug addiction. We need to provide people support. It is crazy for people to be in a cycle of you throw down a can, you get cited for littering, you get a court date, except you don't know you've got a court date because you're homeless. You miss the court date. The next time you do something, somebody runs your number, your name. They discover you didn't show up for your court date. You've got a bench warrant out for your arrest. And then we pull you in and you go to jail. That is crazy. It doesn't fix anything. So we want the police out of having to put people in jail for being homeless. These folks need help and support, and that's the direction we want to move in. Next. We make inflationary adjustments in this budget for nonprofit provider contracts in HHS, medical adult daycare providers, developmental disability service providers. We have grant funds to arts and humanities organizations through the Arts and Humanities Council. We maintain funding for 21 community grants in FY21 for community grants recipients. And we moved 23 community grants into the base budgets of departments. So again, we're making more of what we've been doing by grant, part of the base services in the county. Next. We fully fund the county's commitment, as I said, I didn't mention this, to the public election fund, the $3 million. We've provided additional support to 311 to reduce call wait times. We're revising the methodology for municipal tax duplication efforts to meet the needs of our municipal partners and to reach a mutual agreement that has eluded us for going back to when I was on the city council in Tacoma Park, and going back to when Sydney was in the city of Gaithersburg. So hopefully we've reached an agreement that everybody can live with now. We identify positions for elimination as part of the efforts to improve efficiency and effectiveness of our programs. We intended to do this fully during the previous year, and then COVID came along and people were not in workplaces and we were not able to bring people together. But we've actually begun doing these meetings virtually now, and we are looking at positions focusing on vacancies and having discussions about whether we need to fill them, what we can do with technology, and what we can do with realigning how departments work in order to produce savings. And if any of you want to get an idea of some of what's happening, you should look at some of the stuff Michael Baskins has been doing with the workforce here in terms of giving them the opportunities to look at problems in their departments and identify ways to do things differently that actually can save people but also save money. And he has these classes, they're regularly enrolled. It's very exciting, and to listen to the folks talk about the things that they've come up with that will be improve county services and make us more efficient with our dollars. It's really great to see our workforce engaged in this, and I'm looking forward to more of this as we go forward. Next. Our reserves fell below the 10% policy level because of the COVID-19 response. It's important to maintain our AAA bond rating, and by the end of FY22, our reserves are projected to be at 9.6%. And the 3-year plan, we have a 3-year plan to reach 10% again by the end of FY24. And this gives you an idea of funding by service areas. I'm not going to read this to you, but you get an idea of where the money's going. Schools again, the largest part, public safety, then other county government functions, then debt service, and then health and human services, Montgomery College, transportation, and the rest. And this is where the money comes from. Property taxes, again, our largest source of income. Income taxes second, the transfer and recordation tax, and then other taxes, intergovernmental transfers, which with the federal money coming this time is going to be significant, and prior year's reserves. And where the money goes: county government, public schools, Montgomery College, Maryland National Park and Planning, non-agency uses, reserves, and that's the total recommended budget that you're going to see. Voila. So you guys have lots to read, and you've hopefully got time to read it, and can find nice, comfortable chairs to sit in, and your computer's on your lap so you can make notes. We think that, we've heard a lot of what everybody has been talking about. We know, the fault lines, the need to do things in the environment, the need to do work more broadly with our community and improve communications, to have supports for everybody in Montgomery County. I think this budget touches on many of the major things we've talked about: more money for housing, more money for childcare, and it's an evolutionary budget. And we're doing this on the heels of COVID, still in the middle of COVID. And I feel really good that we were able to put this together and have a budget that is not nearly as dire as people predicted a budget would have to be. So I'm excited about it. The reserves are good. OPEB is funded. I think we've got a good path forward. So I look forward to working with you as we go forward on this. Thank you.
Hey, I think that is it in terms of the county executive's presentation to you council members. I don't know if CAO Madalena wants to say a few words or not. That said, or not said, that will end us for today unless you all have any questions.
Yeah, Barry, I think number of us are going to have questions. I'll just say first, the county exec and the CAO and Ms. Bryant and so everybody that worked on this. I know all of us really appreciate all your hard work and all the work that went into this that we don't get to see in great detail, especially under these circumstances. It's always really difficult to put together a budget of this scale and complexity, but it's much more of a moving target this year, and we all really appreciate all your hard work to get us to this place on time. And you're right, Mark, it's much better than many of the predictions we heard 6 months ago, thanks largely to the American Rescue Plan. So we're very grateful to our federal delegation as well as our state folks. Sorry to have my video off for much of your presentation, but I listened to it all. I was doing field research on MCPS reopening by dropping off a first grader and a third grader over at Rolling Terrace. But they have a very efficient system happening over there, so I hope that's happening at all our other schools. And I asked a number of my questions on Friday, so I don't have that many more. I'm really glad to see the early care and enrichment investment. That's great, building on Councilmember Navarro's original work on that, and very happy to see the county contribution to the EITC, because especially that's always a good idea, but especially under this circumstance with the state and the feds expanding, that's going to put more money in the pocket of a lot of our residents that really need it at this time, and it's going to go right back into the local economy after they receive it. So I'm happy to see that as well as the investments in affordable housing and the climate change response and many other things. So I know many of my colleagues are probably going to have questions. Let me call on first Councilmember Rice.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. County Executive. This is a phenomenal budget. And so I want to thank you for your commitment to education, for understanding that with both our K through 12 as well as post-secondary education fields, those are going to be critically important when it comes to COVID recovery. We've heard the Council President say this. We've heard Councilmember Navarro stress this as well as Chair of Government Operations and Fiscal Policy. It is going to be important for us to focus on COVID recovery right now, and so having a budget that really is in that direction makes complete sense, and is going to prepare us to really be able to ensure that our community can get out of this and put people back to work, put people back in new economies that are out there. But I did want to talk about one existing economy and just ask, because I don't unfortunately have the budget book in front of me, but I'm curious. When it comes to our arts and humanities, understanding that they have been shut down for over a year, they didn't have any partial reopening, and now that we've moved forward towards 25% opening, many of them are going to need assistance when it comes to just getting started, making sure that they have all of the PPE, the same things that we did for restaurants, the same things that we did for other industries that are out there. And I'm just curious as to whether or not we took that into consideration with the funds that we have in the budget, and if not, could it be something that we look for in terms of a supplemental to ensure and assist that and assist them in their reopening plans?
I can talk a little bit about PPE, because I think we're in good shape with PPE, and I think, frankly, vaccinations moving forward, and the fact that could theoretically be done by early summer is going to reduce, our reliance on it. So to the extent that we can help with that, I think we're in a better position to help. There's also federal money coming for the entertainment industry, so that is big, and it's not clear to me whether we distribute it or whether the state distributes it, but we'll make sure that we can act on it expeditiously and get it out there. I mean, I don't think the phrase "starving artist" was ever truer than this year.
Well, thank you for your understanding.
Good years to make money entertaining people. Really hard when you can't entertain people.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Mr. County Executive, for that great understanding. I look forward to continuing to work with you. I know that my colleagues on the Education and Culture Committee, as well as the entire council, are going to be looking towards this industry and making sure that now that we're allowing them to open, that we can give them the best foot moving forward. So really appreciate your partnership. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Navarro.
Thank you, Mr. President. And County Executive. Thank you very much for this briefing. Obviously, we're going to have to get into the details now that the work begins on the council side, but just looking at the highlights that you've presented, of course, one of the areas of great interest for me was our fiscal health, and I am pleased to see that we are getting very close to that 10% target, and that there is a plan to do that, and that we fully fund OPEB. I think that is so important. Obviously, nothing is going to move forward unless we have very strong fiscal health, so I appreciate that. And really appreciate also the fact that a lot of these policy areas that we have been so focused on before the pandemic, but especially post-pandemic, are highlighted. Early care and education, racial equity, and social justice. Finally, I am thrilled to see the multicultural, multilingual communications unit, something I have been hoping for since my days on the Board of Education. So that is amazing that it's there. It is going to be so critically important moving forward. And things like, making the hubs permanent, that is going to be a very critical thing for us as well. I like the focus on workforce development and the fact that we're being innovative, but understand what are the things that we need, and also economic development. I mean, these are going to be things that we're going to have to connect. And of course, education, always education. And so, we'll be obviously looking at this very carefully. I have a feeling like I think most of you have, but obviously as we are getting closer and closer to a larger vaccine distribution process, the economy is going to come back roaring, because the pent up, desire for people to go out there and spend some money and do things is going to happen. But that means that we need to be also very mindful in terms of how we're going to navigate that post COVID-19. And to me, I think this begins that work. So again, we'll be looking at, this federal funding, this relief funding that the President Biden has sent forward. How are we prioritizing that? We're looking at what happens to our schools, et cetera. It's good news that there's a pretty good amount of money coming in, and absolutely thrilled with the Working Families Income Supplement programs, and that we are recognizing that given who we are in this county, making sure that people can have access to this with their TIN number is just important. So the only thing that I just wanted to ask you, and it's a very high level, just question. It said here that this is all done through an equity lens. Can you just share with me a couple of highlights in terms of what you took into consideration as you were doing that? And also, if my colleagues haven't noticed, thrilled that MCPS did include a note on their equity lens in terms of their request. This is something that we included in the amended Racial Equity and Social Justice Bill, but we cannot force them to do it. They did it voluntarily, and for that I'm very grateful. But Mark, what were some of the highlights in terms of this equity lens approach that you said?
So for me, I don't sit and do all the departmental budgets. So what I would invite you to do is to have some conversations with the department heads about how this process worked. When they came into the meetings, it was really clear that people had thought about what were the impacts of the projects they were presenting. They were well aware that was scarce dollars, and we talked about this in general, that if anything, you try to hold on to your safety net and take care of the people who are most vulnerable. You don't spend necessarily the way you normally would have spent in a time of scarcity and with greater need. And so I would just say, sit down and talk with some of the department heads, have them come and talk to you about specific decisions. I didn't sit in with the meetings they had with their teams, so I could just, my sense generally was people actually talked about it, words I'd never heard people use before. And I think there's an increasing consciousness of, it's not just money we're spending, and it's not just undefined people. These people have real lives, and the circumstances of people's lives are different, and you got to think about where this money goes in relationship to that. I know, like on the policing stuff, you guys added money for the teams. We put more money back in. We're trying to figure out how to do a bigger component on social workers. Everybody's beginning to think about how do we unwind these problems, which, you can't go back and blame somebody and say at this point in time, somebody made these decisions, for example, in policing. It just evolved. And then people sitting down now and starting to unwind it and unpack, what have we put there? What needs to go someplace else? I think people are getting it now. And that makes this work a whole heck of a lot easier.
Yeah, no, I look forward to the committee sessions. I think that this will be hopefully the first budget where we can begin to track how this, racial equity and social justice requirements how are they positioning us? Because it's both serving the most vulnerable, but also pushing forward folks to access opportunities like the home ownership piece, for example. So I'm really excited to see how this is all going to fare at the end of our work, so we can methodically track how we're doing in this space. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, I just checked with our staff and with the chair of the Powerful Fed Committee, and we can begin the Fed Committee at 9:40, if that's okay with everybody, to allow a few more questions. Councilmember Friedson.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, County Executive Elrich and your team. I know a lot of work went into this budget. It's been a really challenging environment, in order to draft a budget. And there's a lot of exciting things that you've shared. Obviously, we've only seen the highlights, but fully funding MCPS, the funding for Kid Museum that you mentioned, and the expansion of Montgomery Code. I was pleased to hear about the reserve levels at 9.6%, near our target of 10%. The fact there's no new taxes, the earned income tax credit or working families supplement, and early care and education, just to name a few that I heard you mention that I think we all are appreciative of and have worked collaboratively on. And I particularly pleased about the inflationary increases that are needed by our service providers, our critical partners. Is there a number associated with what that inflationary increase is in the budget for those service providers?
Rich, is it 1.5?
Yes, it's 1.5%.
Okay, thanks for the clarification on that. And then look forward to taking this up. Affordable housing, also a key area that I was pleased to see there's significant investment. Look forward to taking this up in committee. You had mentioned in the beginning, and I just wanted to get clarification on the federal funding from the recently passed action, that 82 million is in an account that is unencumbered in the proposed recommended budget. The remaining, I guess, would be like 121 million. Did that money go to reserves or to programs, or is there a particular?
It's really hard to, when you're playing with $6 billion, it's hard to say this money went there. It went to make the whole budget. And so I could have put it in one place, but then that money just would have moved from that place to someplace else. So it's through the budget basically to make us whole. It made it possible for us to get the reserves as high as we did.
And it also is going for the increase in the working family income supplement. So it's making that whole piece possible for FY22.
And it's probably filling one big revenue hole when the state legislature has said they're not going to tax the unemployment income. That created instantaneously about a $27 million hole in our budget, which no one saw coming. None of us anticipated. Nobody had ever talked about it. And so one day we just discovered we had $27 million less dollars. So that federal money obviously is really useful to make sure that we can buffer ourselves from that. And this is one thing that if the state government legislature finds some backup for that, then we could very quickly talk about some other things. Like just be blunt, if I get assigned the state legislature is going to do that, then I'm going to spend a couple $1 million and put counselors in the schools. Not counselors, but social workers. It's, those are some of the things that got lost when that decision got made at the state level.
Appreciate that. Well, thank you. There's a lot of work to do to look at the details of the budget. Appreciate what you've presented here. Also, thanks for your efforts and partnership with the Pike District and seizing the opportunities there. I think this is going to be a critical budget to surviving this crisis and then helping the county seize the opportunities that are presented as we make our way out of it. And so look forward to working together with colleagues and your administration to make sure that we do that in this budget. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Katz.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I know that the powerful Fed Committee Chair is watching the clock, so I will be as quick as I can. I don't want to upset anybody in that powerful position. First off, to the county executive, thank you for your hard work. I know, and not only you, but it needs to be pointed out, Mr. Madaleno and Ms. Bryant and Ms. Covio and everybody else associated with this budget. These are never easy, and this one was a really never easy one. And of course, we need to get through the weeds, and we need to look at what this is going to do and how we're going to reimagine public safety. And we certainly need to be doing, having the good, open, honest, transparent discussions on it. And we will. And I do ask that we please get a copy of these slides. They were very, very good. And I'd like to see those. The fact that the way you've laid this out, I mean, there again, we need to get into the weeds, but the whole idea that debt, I used to always say that if debt were a department in Montgomery County, it'd be the third largest department that we've had. Well, now we're at number 4, according to the slide that I saw. So that in itself is a step in the right direction. I am very impressed that you're looking at 9.6 for the reserves, and with a blueprint to get to 10%. That shouldn't get lost. I mean, that is where we need to be heading, and that is what you're suggesting. And then, and just bottom line, because I want to end this, but I do thank you for the municipal tax duplication. When I first got to the county council, the chair of the government operations committee, Councilmember Navarro suggested strongly, underline the word strongly, that I take that on, and it's been the task that just didn't go away. We've had every twist and turn, and you're right. It happened when you were on a municipal level and when I was, and it happened on every twist and turn. Whatever we tried just didn't seem to work. I haven't seen your actual numbers yet, but I certainly will try everything we can to get this solved. This has been going on. My friend Fred Felton, who was an assistant city manager for the city of Gaithersburg, has been dead 11 years. 11 years. And he was the chair of this many, many years before to try to solve this issue. And hopefully, and as I say, I haven't seen your numbers, but hopefully this will get us where we need to be so that we can finally, underline the word finally, get to the right place. So thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
So, Mr. Katz, it's a 2-year phase-in, but you got to remember the municipalities. If you look at what the federal government is sending to the municipalities, it's rather astounding.
No.
Extremely astounding. They will survive phasing it in.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say they haven't had the same impact on the budget due to COVID as the county has had.
Yeah.
And yet they're getting an enormous infusion of cash.
It is $100 million to the municipal governments of Montgomery County.
It's
50% of their budgets.
Yep.
Councilmember Glass.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, County Executive Elrich and your leadership team for this very good briefing. And given everything that we've been through over the last year, I think personally, this is not the budget I expected to be receiving this morning, to fully fund our schools and existing programs and to create new programs, to increase our reserves, and to do all of that while not increasing taxes, I think is very good news. And again, it's not the budget I was expecting. So this is a pleasant conversation. I'm particularly excited about the new facility to support members of our community who are experiencing homelessness and the homeless court docket, which is a concept that I've spoken with the Interagency Commission on Homeless about. It works in other jurisdictions, and I'm pleased that we're starting efforts to bring it here as well. That coupled with the affordable housing increases you've referenced, clearly the county continues making tremendous progress to ensure that, individuals who experience homelessness, that it's rare, brief, and non-recurring. The one question I do have for you this morning, in looking through some of the areas of the budget, I was looking at the Division 0 area and noticed that it was referencing the organization of the Department of Traffic Enforcement and some automated traffic enforcement. And curious if you could elaborate a little bit more about that, whether or not we are shifting to the Department of Transportation to do some of our street safety.
So we supported the legislation at the state level, and if that goes through, then we can do this. There are some things we need the legal ability to do. I will say this is more complex than. For example, there are limits where you can put a speed camera. In the state of Maryland, it's either a school zone or under 35 miles an hour. So there are plenty of places you want people not to be speeding. The other thing I'll say, and I think speed cameras are a good example of this. You don't want somebody careening through Bethesda and hitting every speed camera and getting a ticket and driving recklessly and just saying, well, the cameras are going to take care of it. Cameras give people tickets. They don't stop people from doing reckless driving. And excessive speed is reckless driving. So you're not going to completely take the police out of traffic enforcement. If you have people running stop signs, there are stop signs I look at and it would be kind of innocuous to run a stop signs. There are stop signs we approach where you could kill somebody running a stop sign. That there's enough traffic that if everybody does this, you're set up for, I think real danger. So, it's not a panacea. People think that you're going to automate, traffic and you'll never see a police person. There's a bunch of stuff I think we can automate. There's a directive coming from the police chief on equipment stops. They were kind of cited as, well, this is how you pull somebody over and get a search. We're simply doing it the simplest way possible, which is the officers will be directed that basically you stop somebody, you give them a citation for equipment repair, and you say, have a good afternoon. And it turns out, and this is really painful, this is what they were supposed to be doing all along. And yet, the department actually at one point had trainings that were done at the academy by an outside person that were teaching officers how to do this enhanced investigation. So on the one hand, the law says that you can only detain a person for as long as you need to give them the ticket, which is the reason why you stop them theoretically. And, and we're not the only department in the country who was doing this, but people were engaged in other tactics to try to get searches of vehicles and things like that. That's not kosher. It's not supposed to happen. So we can deal with some of the ill aspects of contact just by assuring that people do exactly what they're supposed to do, and body cameras should be our ability to prove that people are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. But to the extent we can do more with cameras, that's fine with me.
I appreciate that response. Clearly, we'll have many more conversations about it, and thank you again to you and your team for this very optimistic budget proposal.
Thank you.
9:40, Councilmember Albernauz, something really fast.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Clearly, there's been an emphasis on our social safety net, which I greatly appreciate and obviously needed right now and moving forward. Look forward to further conversation regarding the implementation of some of the initiatives you've talked about, which will require, as you know, a really holistic view. I did have one question. The reductions in police positions, was that based on the recommendations of the Reimagining Police Task Force? Or did those recommendations come internally within the executive branch?
Those recommendations actually came from the chief. We've been looking at ways to make that department work more effectively. We're trying to get every department to start a process of self-examination, ask yourself, do you really need this? And the SROs, our proposal is going to be to move the SROs out of schools, but they're still going to be they're still going to be in the community. That is not going to be stationed in schools. But that achieves a little bit of a savings, but not much. And I'll say what I said before. We have to solve the social problems, whether or not we get money from the police department. And it would be a mistake either to do things in the police department that you shouldn't do in order to save money, or to not do things you need to do outside of policing, because if I can't get it from the police department, I can't get it from anywhere. Shame on us if we can't figure out how to start funding some of these things outside of the police department rather than relying on them to clean up every mess that society has.
Thanks. I'll follow up after with lots of questions as we go through the process. But I've been on both sides. I know how difficult it is, and I appreciate getting us where we are today. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Tawanda.
So I'll bring us home quickly, and hopefully Fed will start right after. I particularly want to thank Ms. Bryant, your first, I think, full budget as director. And I know how hard this is, and you get to, I see you just nodding, and I'm glad it was a lot better than we all would have hoped, or all thought it might been, and this is better than any of us probably could have hoped. As far as the investments it's going to make, we'll obviously dig into the details. I think to the county executive and to Mr. Madaleno, thank you for putting us on a good fiscal track. The investments that we're going to need to make to have an equitable recovery in this K-shaped recovery is going to be critical, and I think this gives a good base foundation for us to work on. So I'm excited to dig into the details. We're going to have to restructure our systems, and this is a good start from what I see. So thank you, and look forward to working with you over the next several months. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay, colleagues, it is time for a Fed meeting. Thank you all, County Executive, CAO, Ms. Bryant, everybody, for all your hard work on this. We look forward to discussing in more detail. Appreciate the briefing.
And we've sent the PowerPoint to you. You've got the budget message. You've got a lot of documents that have come your way to your aides and your offices via email.
And thanks for your bagels, but we're still going to ask a lot of hard questions.
And Mark, next year I don't drink coffee, so just FYI. But
Nobody in your house drinks coffee.
Yeah, me neither. Sipping on the water. It's all good.
I'll take theirs.
Mark does, so you all should send your coffee to him, please.
There you go.
I did not have one delivered to me, unfortunately. I'm sitting here with no coffee.
The blueberries were very good.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, take care.
We'll find consensus on breakfast.